والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا ونبينا وحبيبنا وقدوتنا ومولانا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Respected brothers and sisters in Islam, first we thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala once again. Allah has granted us the tawfiq and selected us to be in the masjid to perform our Maghrieb Salaah with Jama'ah. Alhamdulillah. We make dua, Allah accept our salah, and we ask Allah to grant us sincerity and istiqamah. Ameen Rabbal Alameen. We have completed last week the chapter that speaks about remembrance of death. And Imam Suyuti rahimahullah mentioned some of the benefits, and amongst the benefits, just to recap and just to revise, where he mentioned that when a person frequently remembers death, then automatically the troubles of this dunya, it shrinks in the eyes of the person. The problems of this dunya, it shrinks in the eyes of that person, meaning he will be able to handle the problems of this dunya. And then the pleasures of this dunya, at the same time, and for a person who frequently remembers death, it won't distract the person again. When a person frequently think of death, that the beauty and the pleasures of this dunya, even though he might enjoy it, but it won't distract him from his purpose, and that is to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And then also, they mention the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam speaking about the wisest and the people with the most intellect are those who frequently remembers death. And those, not only do they remember death, but they prepare well in advance before death comes. They do actions that is pleasing to Allah so that it can be of benefit to them after they leave this dunya. ذَلِكَ الْأَكْيَاسِ, says Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, those are the wise people, the people with intellect. And also he mentioned in the last two pages where he mentioned that when a person regularly thinks, and a person regularly reminds himself about death, and then that person will experience, he will receive three benefits according to the ulama. The first one, ta'jilu tawbah, that person will always be in a hurry to turn to Allah, seeking the forgiveness of Allah. He might perform something wrong, or he might do something wrong, but immediately he will reflect, and because of his awareness of death, he will immediately turn to Allah, seeking the forgiveness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And qana'atul qalb, that the person will have a heart that is content with the decree of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He will live in this dunya experiencing the bounties and favors of Allah, and the heart will be content because of his continuous remembrance of death. And also the ulama has mentioned nashatul ibadah, that the person who frequently remembers Allah, that person finds pleasure in the worship of Allah. That person is always amongst those who rush to the worship of Allah. Those who try and do the worship with desire and with eagerness. And also, one of the benefits of remembering death is qalla hasaduhu, that the hasad, the envy, the jealousy in the heart of a person, it will decrease and decrease the more we remember death. The more we remember death, the more hasad and jealousy will be removed and will leave the heart of the person. So we ask Allah to make us of those who will frequently remember death. And we are never too young to think about it. We cannot say one day when I'm older I will start thinking about death, because you don't know when is our time. We don't know when is our time. Death can come at any moment. So we should always try and reflect over this ultimate, as Allah referred to it, yaqeen, the certainty that will come to everyone. In this evening, just one page to author beautifully, he reminds us, and he starts the chapter, مَا يُعِينُ عَلَى ذِكْرِ الْمَوْتِ, what will assist a person, and what will assist a person in remembering death. If you find it difficult to remember death, what will assist a person? The first narration that Imam Suyuti rahimahullah brings, I mentioned two narrations. The first narration, he says that Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, I prohibited you from visiting the grave, but now fazuruha, visit the graveyard. Visit the graveyard, فَإِنَّهُ يَرَقُّ الْقَلْبِ, because the grave, it will soften the heart of a person. When going to the graveyard, it will soften the heart of a person. وَتَدْمُعُ الْعَيْنِ, it will grant the eyes to flow and overflow with tears, says Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. وَتُذَكِّرُ الْآخِرَةِ, it will remind him of the akhirah, where his final abode will be, where is he heading towards. وَلَا تَقُولُوا هُجْرًا, and do not speak things which will be things which is of no benefit in the graveyard. Respect the graveyard, respect the etiquette of the qabr of the maqbara. So here Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam reminds us that when a person visits the graveyard, a person's heart automatically becomes softened. That's why they say it's a most quiet place, but with the loudest of advices is the graveyard. You just need to walk through it. No one need to speak. You just need to walk through and read the name boards. From amongst the hundreds that are buried there, your name will come. You will see your name written also there. Just a different surname. But you will be remembered and you will be reminded, Ya Allah, one day I will also be here. Just today we attended the janazah of Uncle Ibrahim Dolim, Allah grant him Jannatul Firdaus. One of our regular musallis who attended the masjid, but he recently became ill and he couldn't attend. When we attended this janazah, one of the brothers was saying, not like how today we are riding to the janazah, but one day we're going to the janazah and we're leaving again, but one day we will go to the janazah, but we won't be leaving again. We will be left behind in the maqbara, in the grave. And that is the reality that each and every one of us will go through. So when we go to the maqbara, when we see the grave, and we see how the grave, look my beloved brothers, sisters in Islam, if the eyes of the head and the heart doesn't open after that, then we need to introspect. Because of the way that person is placed in the grave, covered with the planks and then with the sand and with the soil, sometimes at night and sometimes while it's raining, in the water, the wet mud. That is the end result of each and every person. So Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, one of the ways, visit the graveyard. Visit the graveyard, it will soften your heart. It will remind you of death in the akhirah. In the second narration, Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, that زر القبور, again, زور القبور, visit the graveyard, تذكر بها الآخرة, it will remind you of death. Not only visit the graveyard, واغسل الموتى, be part of washing the deceased as well. Many times we leave the washing and the ghusl of the deceased, we leave it to the society, they must deal with it. We just give the body, we hand over, sometimes our own relatives. No, it is sunnah we should be part of the ghusl and washing. Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam says, be part of the ghusl and the washing of the body. فَإِنَّ مُعَالَجَةَ جَسَدٍ خَاوٍ مَوْعِظَةٍ بَلِيغَةٍ. That when a person washes the body and you see that lifeless corpse, you see that lifeless body laying there of your father or your brother or your friend, that is Rasul sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, it is a very eloquent and effective maw'idah, lesson for each and every person. So when we're part of the ghusl of the mayyit, and you see how the person was, yesterday he was alive, yesterday he was talking, now there's not even life inside of him today. He can't even smile, he can't even greet. He can't even cover his own awrah. Completely lifeless. That should remind us, as Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, وَصَلِّ عَلَى الْجَنَائِزِ, also be part of the salah on the janazah, be part of the proceedings in the masjid, and the person will be brought in front of everyone, carried to the masjid, salat, janazah will be performed over him, dua will be made for the person. These are all moments we need to reflect, and these are all moments, says the ulama, that will remind us of death. So in a nutshell, if a person in this hadith and this page the author brings, one page only that will assist a person in remembering death, then take part in the janazahs that happen. Be part of the janazah, be part of the ghusl, of the taghsil of the mayyit, be part of the burying and closing the hole, be part of, if you have the opportunity to go into the grave, place them deceased in the grave, take lesson what we see in the maqbarah. And so we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us of those who will take lesson when we visit the graveyard, take lesson when we part of the janazah, when we wash the deceased and put in the coffin. All of these things should be a reminder for us. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give us a tawfiq and understanding. Wa akhir da'wana alhamdulillah.